Hey guys, Carson here. I just wanted to let you know this is part 303 of our series on Vienna, Austria. So let's get started. So Donau, cool place to hang out. So let's talk another part of culture, food and drink. Where to get food and drink in Austria? So or in Vienna, I should say. And I think there's a part of this that Vienna is extremely famous for, and that is their coffee culture. So, what do you think of
Well,
coffee house culture in Vienna?
see, I love it, but people need to understand why. Uh, Vienna was under siege by the Turks and fought them off a couple of times, and I don't know the dates exactly. But because of that, the Turks had their coffee beans, and they basically are the reason that Vienna is the center of coffee. Um,
Yeah, so if I remember that correctly, the Ottoman Empire fought the Austria or the
Austro-Hungarian,
I don't know what
yeah.
empire, maybe the Holy Roman Empire at that
Yeah.
time, and they fought them back, and the Ottoman Empire left, and they left behind
Hmm.
coffee. So they left this what turned out to be a gift to Vienna essentially, and that was kind of the start of coffee houses and coffee in Vienna, and Vienna has become a kind of mecca of coffee because of their coffee
Yeah,
culture.
I mean,
So
it was a
if you don't
huge deal when Starbucks tried to
go ahead.
come into Vienna, and it's there now after years of trying to enter the market, but it is not the premier coffee house. The whole coffee culture
Yeah.
is you don't take any. It's not to go, or as they call it, your takeaway. It's not takeaway. It's you sit and you have a pleasurable cup of coffee and a
Sit.
pastry. And you talk about world politics, world culture. You talk about sports, whatever. Um, it,
Yeah, and I'll kind of build on that, talking about world politics and culture and sports. And I like to tell you this all the time. This is one of my favorite things. But there's a very famous cafe in the Innenstadt in central Vienna called Cafe Central. And Cafe Central is famous because at one point, and we talked about this earlier in uh, the early 1900s, when Vienna was one of the centers of the world, so to speak, Cafe Central was frequented by Adolf Hitler, Leon Trotsky. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Josip Broz Tito, Sigmund Freud, and
and
Joseph
Lenin.
Stalin, all at the same time, and Lenin. So they all visited Cafe Central
They hung out
regularly. They
there,
were
yeah,
regulars there. They all lived
yeah.
in Vienna. They were frequent. Now I don't say they were friends or anything, or they were all there at the
Or
exact
that they
same
were good
time,
people,
but they
but they
frequented.
changed world history and they
Yeah,
hung out in this
but
cafe.
yeah, and Cafe Central and others, around. There's numerous famous old cafes. Cafe Central is probably the most famous one. We visited it. So what were your thoughts on our
Well,
visit to
I've been
Cafe
there numerous
Central?
times. What's happened is uh, when there's tourist season, the lines are long, and I'm not one to wait in line, but it's something you kind of have to do. And it is a wonderful cafe. The architecture inside is wonderful. I think when we were there, they do have music, but a gentleman, when the pianist took a break, he took over and he started singing some songs. It was actually a wonderful atmosphere. The food is very good, but again, I got to warn people: you got to get a line. And so, you know, maybe bring somebody that you don't mind sticking in a line to wait for an hour while they hold your spot. You go do some other things.
Yeah, I don't think it was that long to wait. They seat people
That
pretty quickly, and they have a
drives
decent
me
number of
nuts.
seats. But yeah, when you're there, definitely grab a coffee,
Strudel.
uh, grab a grab a grab a strudel, grab a cake. Um, but just saying, there's numerous coffee houses to visit all around the city. Cafe Museum, I think, is another
Yeah.
famous one.
Oh,
But when you're
Cafe
there, and
Landman,
we
the one
talk,
there on
like
that
you're saying,
corner that we've gone to. Great. I mean,
yep,
That's where
Um,
everybody from Paul McCartney
just
to I think Kennedy's been there. So you know,
yeah, and what what I say, it's experience the coffee house culture. Sit there for an hour, 2 hours, just people watch, read a paper, read your phone, hang out, chit chat. It's part of Vienna is doing that. And
it's
it's
the
it's
best
part of
part,
I think how you need to
and that's why I
experience
think I
Vienna.
am somewhat lucky because I've been there so many times. I don't need to go see the opera house or the rat house or I I enjoy just hanging out with a melange and maybe a pastry or some marzipan and maybe a cigar and just watching the world go by. And Vienna's a great city. It's a very fashionable city, so you see some wonderful things pretty much anywhere. But yeah, what are some of the other ones I would
Yeah.
recommend?
So
Um, Cafe
yeah,
Hawakawa
I mean,
or whatever
well, I guess
that one on that side street. Um, Freudenhuber, it's the oldest one. But if you're just looking for coffee and a pastry in the morning, Cafe Ada, which is a chain, it's a
about
chain, yeah, but it's all pink.
yeah,
My wife loves it. She has a, yeah, yeah,
all
but great
pink.
pastries. Um, yeah,
Cafe
Havelka.
Havelka is the one you're trying to talk. It's off a side street off
That's near the
Graben on
American bar, isn't it?
Stephansplatz. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we can transition into the other time of day drinks. So, um, I don't think Vienna is super well known for their cocktails and everything, but any
Mm-hmm.
major metropolitan cities gonna have some good bars. So the one you just mentioned, funny enough, we haven't even been able to get a drink there, but there's Lou's American Bar, which is right down off the Stephansplatz area. Very famous, old bar. It sounds Lou's American Bar sounds like it'd be newer. I think it goes back to like
Yeah,
1918.
and
They
the
opened up.
architecture of the building is famous too. You want to see that, but
Yeah, and they've had many famous people visit, and like you said about Schweitzer House, Mick Jagger visited Lou's
yeah, be
American
interested
Bar.
in his opinion of
Um,
it.
but but like you said, there is a but to it. You need to be well dressed to
Yeah,
get in there in this very small
it'll be
bar
a
to even sit
yeah 100
outside.
degrees out. If you got sandals on, you can't go to their bar. So you got to somewhat be a little.
Yeah,
It's a formal city, but I'm just shocked at a bar in the summer in the daytime, and there's always a crowd. That's the other thing, right? So what?
yeah,
Let me ask you,
yeah,
what
yeah.
would be your
There's
recommendation
always
if you
people
can't
there.
get in there?
Well, if you want a quick place to go and you just need to sit down, there's a classic Austrian bar right
Yeah,
next
two
door.
yards to the. If
We
you're
can get
facing the
a
bar, 2 yards to the right, you think it's part of the bar. It's right there. And the other unique, great
yeah,
bartender. We've been there several times now. The other unique thing about it, if you're into watching the game, or in our case, we want to watch an F1 race. Um, there are not a lot of bars or sports bars around. The bar right next door to Lou's has a TV. So we spent an afternoon in there. I can't remember what race did we watch with the locals.
It was, I believe it was,
Silverstone. Okay,
Silverstone,
so one of the great
Silverstone.
and
Yeah,
just locals. It is not a big bar. It's about the size of the room I'm in now, my studio. It usually has one guy, the bartender. Uh, does have some food, basically a cheese sandwich, and I can't remember the other stuff they have, but not much. But it's a recommendation. Let's put it that way, because you're probably not going to get into the American bar.
yeah, yeah. And then another famous one, always super busy. There's always a wait, and it's always packed when we're walking by. Is the Schwartz Camel,
Schwarzer Camel,
right?
yeah.
Schwarzer Camel.
But we've been in there.
The
The
Black
Black Camel,
Camel.
yeah.
I've never
Oh,
been.
okay.
We never were able to sit
We
there.
have a family member that
It's
goes there a
a
lot.
Yes, he really likes it and is always recommended, but I've never. It's always been so busy
Yeah, but
or a line. I've never
he can
actually
show up and just
gone
get
in.
in. He doesn't have to wait in line. I've never been there and not been in line. Has great outdoor seating, great indoor. It's also a place to meet for business, not just to be there as a tourist. So recommend.
Yep.
You know
Yeah.
what we missed? If you're in that downtown area, not a bar. World famous the
No.
soccer tour at the soccer hotel. Uh,
Hotel Square.
yeah,
Yep.
you have
See,
to
I
go
miss
there.
because
Yeah,
know, it's too much for
I
me.
don't like it
Like,
either.
I will say
Sacrilege
this. Okay, so yeah, so cake
is
in
moist,
Austria,
is dense.
what I mean, it's but cake is Austria. Like there's so many cakes in Austria, and you'll always be served the cake wherever you go, and they look beautiful. I'll admit, every cake I've ever seen in Austria is beautiful looking. Most of the time, they're just too much,
I would
too
say the
dense, too.
best comparison, they're the density of fudge. They're not moist and
Yeah,
fluffy, they are dense. Uh,
but they're also heavy
yeah, that's what I'm
cakes.
saying, dense,
They're
yeah.
extremely
If you
flavorful.
like chocolate,
There's yeah, and but and this is just I think our personal opinions, but they're very well known for how good their cakes are, and the most famous one is the soccer court
there's the
at the
soccer
hotel.
hotel, there's the restaurant, and then on the side, you can just go in and buy some to take away. The problem is there's always a line again. So yeah, make a
Yeah, yeah,
reservation if you can, or have somebody stand in line for you. Or if budget's not a
yeah.
thing, stay at the hotel soccer. You know,
And you're speaking on desserts, um, kind of getting away from the cocktails, but a quick
that's food
side
in
of
general.
desserts. Your favorite Austrian dessert. The shares a name with a famous composer
Oh,
from
you mean the
Austria.
Mozartkugel? I, I,
Yeah.
yes and no. It's part of my uh, love of marzipan. I'm not a candies guy, but I love marzipan, or as they say in the states, marzipan. I've always loved it as a kid. Used to go to candy shops where they'd make castles and animals and fruit. They were making sculptures out of marzipan. So I think it tastes great. Some people hate it, but I love it.
Can you explain what
It's
it
basically
is for people who are
almond
unfamiliar?
based. So yeah,
Okay. I will say the first time I ever had marzipan, I puked. I threw it up immediately, so I've never had it since.
oh
But
God, that sounds
one of
disgusting.
his favorites, you'll find it all throughout Vienna and Austria. And the famous one is
Well,
Mozartkugel.
since we're on the
Um,
subject of sweets, also near the Stephansdom, I believe it's the main store for Monnerschnitten, which is if you don't know, and I think Carson loves them, the most famous and typical
yep.
is a wafer that has hazelnut in it. It's a hazelnut wafer or cookies, but Monner has a whole line. It's, what is it, pink? I mean, yeah,
They're pink. They're pink
packaging.
packaging, yeah, and they're not just famous in
You
Vienna
can
or
buy it here in the
Austria. These
States.
are
Yeah,
world
I can go to the
famous,
grocery store and get
yeah,
it.
regularly here in the
Yeah,
states.
but
Yeah.
you,
So if you want a Viennese pastry dessert, and something that's you're gonna find in the U.S. pretty easily, pick up a Monnerschnitten wafer
yeah,
cookie.
I always
Um,
buy them and they
and
always get
yes,
eaten before anything else. I love them. So does I don't know anybody that doesn't love it. But if you want something kind of kitschy, you can go to the Monash store in Stephansplatz and buy an umbrella, a T-shirt, uh, toy. All they have everything, and everything Monar is there too. In fact, we driven by the factory,
yeah.
but I don't remember
So
what town it was in. But whatever.
yeah. But we'll go back to our cocktail
Yes,
discussion,
yes.
our drink discussion. So this was actually a bar that was recommended by family members, locals in the 7th district where we stay. We first time we went there was this last trip during the summer,
Wasn't open.
and the issue was we went and summer hours weren't explained on their website. We went an hour before they actually opened. But I digress. That's a whole another issue. We went back. It's a place called Barflies. It's in a hotel behind a McDonald's in the basement, and it is this beautiful. What is the style that kind of New
Art
York?
Deco. Art Deco.
Yeah, this beautiful Art Deco bar, very dark, very moody lighting, and has an incredible amount of
It's a book.
whiskeys
Yeah.
and
Oh, the
yeah,
cocktails
they
and whiskey.
and other cocktails. Yeah, I think it's whiskey and rum. They have like 1,000 whiskeys and like 500 rums, and their cocktail menu is literally a book. Like you're just saying,
Yeah.
it is a book of cocktails. And I was just laughing. We were laughing because the bartenders, have to know this whole book and how to make all these
And he
things.
was a great guy.
And when we were
I enjoyed
ordering,
him.
yeah, and it's funny because we were ordering with another a waiter, and we're the only people there at the time ordering, and we're talking about what drinks to get, and we're before the waiter came over, we had discussed among ourselves, what drinks we wanted, and we ordered them with the waiter, and they were already ready
He
because the
overheard us.
bartender knew we were gonna
Yeah.
get them. Yeah, he overheard us,
Eh,
and we were watching him make the drinks before we
Yeah, we were
ordered
saying,
them.
"Oh, wonder what
Um,
that is. Wonder what that is." And he was actually making our drinks. And the nice thing was,
yeah.
we'd gotten there earlier. They kind of knew who we were, so they let us in early. We were the first ones in that day. And I was going, God, this is a hidden jewel nobody knows about it. But then people started to filter in. I mean, they have it lined off, so they
There
definitely get
was
lines.
it looked like yeah, it looked like they had regulars and they had people visiting as a like date night, but it's a beautiful
Yeah,
place. Barflies in the Seventh
I would say
District. Definitely a place to check
if you're
out.
an American student or an American visiting, it's Valentine's Day, and you're desperate for someplace to go, that would be a place. Definitely a date
Yeah.
night place.
So yeah, another place that we went to. I think we actually went when we were there in Christmas. This is not a cocktail bar, but just a I will say a beer
Oh,
paradise. It's called Beerdice.
yeah.
And what's funny is we kind of stumbled upon this place. We just wanted a place to get a beer and sit down for a little while, and it is called Beerdice, Beer
Which we
Paradise,
thought was stupid
and
as
it's
hell.
just, but it's hilarious, and it's just like these guys, and they're running a bar. It's a classic like Austrian bar, wood everywhere.
Older bros
Wood.
running it, but
Yeah, some older guys running it,
definitely
locals in the
bros
place.
into soccer.
But this this place, it's called Beer Dice. It is in the Interstadt. It is actually off the Jewish square where there's
Yeah,
a Holocaust memorial and a synagogue.
which we'd recommend as
Um,
well.
yeah, definitely a good memorial to visit. But Beer Dice, good place to grab a beer, kind of off the tourist
Yeah,
path.
not going to be
A locals
crowds.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, not going to be super crowded. So I can recommend that in the first district. And then the other cocktail place we traveled to go visit, I say traveled, it's still in the first district. It is down by the Donau Canal, a place called Toga. And it recently opened. And what was our experience like
Well,
there?
no, it actually had been open previous to COVID, and the owner
Yeah.
was there, so they were able to stick it out, and so they had just reopened.
Yeah, and they just reopened in Toga. It's kind of a random name, but I think it's, to get your attention. And the place is about getting your attention because it is essentially an Instagram bar.
Hmm.
If you want a place to take a good picture of a beautiful showmanship cocktail, and I'll say they're good cocktails,
Are
Toga is the place
fantastic.
to go.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what was you
little
had
pricey. I had the what was it, El Jefe with the drug
you
kingpin.
had the yeah, you had
Who's
the cocaine, I put in quotes, cocaine drink.
yeah? Who's the
I
big drug lord guy?
Was it wasn't a
Carlos.
Pablo Escobar.
Yes, the
Was
Escobar.
it Pablo Escobar?
I think so.
Yeah, so um I don't remember what the type of drink it was, but what I do remember is they give you
A
the
dollar bill,
picture Escobar on the drink, like a printed edible, like
wafer
it was
floating.
probably like sugar wafer or
Yeah.
something, sits on top of the drink. On the side of the drink, taped to it, they give you a little dime bag of powdered sugar,
Yeah.
or in that case, cocaine. And then they give you a rolled up American dollar
Dollar bill.
bill.
Yeah.
And
Not to
so it
make
is
fun of
a
drugs or drug abuse or anything, but it was funny and it was a great drink. I don't remember exactly what it was because we had quite a few. Um, but it was hilarious, and all the drinks were spectacular. Presentation, so a little bit pricey, but nothing compared to pricey in the U.S. So definitely on the
Yeah.
recommend list.
And I think my drink was like a some type of Roman goddess drink, and it was served in these like hands.
Mm-hmm.
These hands held the drink. My brother's drink had a light that would turn on when you put it onto.
An
It was a toaster, and you
it's a
put the light
Roman
onto the
column or
toaster.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, and it illuminated the drink, and it was on like a Roman column or something. And then my mom's drink was an oyster, if or it was I think it was a oyster or some type of globe, and you had to
yeah.
put
It was
the
completely
straw
round.
in, and yeah, and but Toga, very much recommend. Great place to get, very good Instagram photos. The building and the atmosphere in the place is very cool too. But as a place to get drinks, Toga is a
Yeah.
recommend for sure.
No, so
So
food wise, I think we've listed some of our favorites. Were there any other cocktail bars? There is one that's opened up on Neubagasse, but we haven't been there yet. The door we thought was a liquor vending machine.
just
We walked by it, I don't know how many times. Well, that is so cool. And then we find out later because of somebody on Instagram that there was a speakeasy behind it.
Yeah, there's a speakeasy behind this vending machine on this place on Neubias. It wasn't open, I don't believe, when we were there yet. I think it just opened recently, and you press a button on this vending machine, and it's actually the front door to the speakeasy. So definitely a must visit for us when we go back next time.
Yeah.
I will say another food destination that we really didn't cover, and
Let
I
me
won't say it's
guess.
fully food, but most of it is
Lashmart.
covered in restaurants. Yeah, the Naschmarkt. So
Yeah.
um, I think we've been there a couple times. What do you think of the Naschmarkt?
Yeah. I think it's a must too. I mean, if you're a tourist or a local looking for fresh fruit or something touristy, you're something different. Um, Food wise, it's an open market, so you can go there and get a schnitzel and a beer. They do have restaurants. Ice cream, called ice, is very popular in Vienna. You're all over, but they do have that there. So if you're in the summer, ice is a big thing. Ice cream,
There's there's a cheese bar,
cheese bar.
so you can get
Um,
platters of variations of
Spice, you'll
cheese.
see the spices. One thing that I know you noticed and kind of bothered you, it is open, so you'll see yellow jackets and bees flying around, particularly on the open food, like the spices, the fruits, and the candies. A lot of candy. There are even some tourist shops in there where you can buy a T-shirt or some Mozart Kugel.
Some souvenir shops.
I think there's a Moner store there. Mozart Kugels there. Um, T-shirts, belts, shorts. If you want, some kitschy Euro fashion, you can get it there. I know my younger son bought a T-shirt with kitty cats on it just because he thought it was cool,
Not
or
not
dogs.
really Euro fashion, but
No,
just
but yeah,
funny.
he might have been able to wear it to a club at night there. Um,
But restaurant wise, they have, Italian food, they have
Everything,
seafood, they have Austrian food,
burgers.
Chinese, vegan, burgers, you name it. It's a whole open air market. It's along a kind of a street, and you just walk through these two columns of food stalls, stores, restaurants, bars. Great place to kind of hang out and meander and
Yeah,
check some stuff out.
I'd say it's
It
probably a
is
20-minute walk from the Interstadt, but a little bit out there. Maybe you
not
want to take a
yeah,
cab.
maybe not even that. I think
Yeah,
it's like a 10 to 15 minute walk. It's a pretty short walk, and easily get to it. I think there's plenty of
yeah.
train stops and cabs and stuff too to get out to it too.
But it's
So
great to walk down the center and have the guys trying to get you to taste the candy or the spices or the sausage. You know, Austria, Vienna is
yeah,
known for their sausage, so great sausage, pastries, everything is there. So highly recommend it. All
yeah,
right.
Naschmark, cool stop. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that really covers a
Well,
lot
let me one
about
thing
Vienna.
that
Is there
yeah, one thing you haven't done it, and I think you can also do it on the big bus stop if it was on that third route they eliminated. If you go to Heurigen, which is their like wine tasting places, but you'll get local wines. They're called Hurricanes. You sit at a picnic table with other people. You get the wine and the cheese. So if you're into wine, you have to do a Hurricane. All right.
And if you're there at the right time of the year, you get an Austrian
Oh,
specialty, Sturm.
Sturm.
And I won't drink Sturm,
Yeah.
but but it
But we
is
forgot to even
unique
cover
and funny.
real quick because we don't want to be too long winded. The Christmas markets in Vienna are wonderful. Christmas time in Vienna with all the lights. Warning: it's going to be cold, so dress appropriately. Um, but yeah, the Sturm and the hot wine, the desserts, the pastries, the crafts, the music, highly recommended. So
Yeah. I guess as our recommendations for time of years to visit. Obviously, summer. There's tons of stuff going on.
festivals,
In the
spring.
summer, everyone's out and about. Everyone does. There's festivals. There's markets. There's seating in the coffee houses, seating outdoor. All the restaurants have outdoor seating. Fantastic weather. And obviously, summertime is probably the best time to visit. Winter time and especially around Christmas, fantastic time to visit. City kind of gets dressed up and it's Christmas lighting and its markets and everything.
But
Like you're saying, it is a bit cold.
but uh, just to people who are not familiar and you're traveling there in the winter along the holidays, and even on Sundays, it's not like the States. They're not going to open if they had a Thanksgiving. They're not going to be open on Thanksgiving Day. Uh, at Christmas time, we didn't do our appropriate shopping in time, so everything was closed on the weekend, particularly the way Christmas and New Year's fell. So restaurants weren't open, grocery stores weren't open. Trying to get food, we had to go to the train station to get some food one night. That's how bad it is. But it's
Yeah,
something
so
new. It's charming of Vienna. So forewarning, if you're going during a holiday, and definitely even normal part of the year, some stores and restaurants will not be open on Sunday, and definitely not open on religious holidays. All right.
yeah, stores close early, open late, and aren't open on Sundays. So
Yeah.
beware of all that. But that's a general warning for all of Austria and that travel. So I think this series, these multiple episodes, covered a lot about Vienna, and always happy to chit chat with you if you have any more questions about our experiences in Vienna as Americans. Checking it out or traveling.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of been our hub in Europe and where we tend to
It
spend
will
the
be.
most time. For good reason. That's we have a lot of family here, so um, and these are our recommendations and our thoughts about Vienna. Fantastic city to visit, one of the best in Europe, one of the best in the world. I
I would
think
say on par with Paris, arguably. I mean, obviously Parisians. I mean, cuisine wise, historically. Um,
I think cuisine. I will say cuisine wise, Paris has the edge for sure. I think that's a pretty easy win to Paris. Culture and
well,
history.
you've got to go to that 4-star restaurant there before you can say anything. What's the name of it?
Culture and history. They
Yeah,
definitely have are very comparable. Um, you know, great places to be in just as a nice city to travel to and walk around and clean and everything. I think Vienna definitely has the edge there.
safe. Yeah,
I will say Paris has the food probably, and
nah.
it's a bigger
Certain things.
place. It's a bigger place for sure
Yeah.
too, and but yeah, Vienna definitely super high on our, if not number one on our recommended list. I think it's under visited by a lot of Americans, but um, you know, we definitely recommend it, and I think we definitely love the city. So
So
with
book that
that,
flight, guys.
yeah, with
Let's
that,
end it.
that'll be the end of this series here on Vienna. You'll catch us, episodes coming up. We'll be having some other episodes on travel in Austria, so don't miss those about other parts of Austria, and
Other
then
countries.
other areas, other countries throughout Europe. So our experiences traveling around. So with that, we'll sign off. This is
See you next
Carson
time.
and
This Ken.
Ken. Well, we'll be hoping you're listening next time.